In today's episode of the Motorhome Matt Podcast,
I'm unpacking my top motorhome essentials and accessories.
In the news, the Supreme Court concluded its crucial 3-day hearing on finance commissions.
And we answer your questions on accessories for staying mobile, choosing a show to visit, and motorhome upgrades.
Welcome to the Motorhome Matt Podcast. I'm Keith Gooden.
And I'm Motorhome Matt.
Industry insights, expert advice for the world of motorhomes, caravans and campervans. And it's brought to you by thatleisureshop.com and sponsored by Right.
Now remember to follow on your favourite podcast app and make sure you click subscribe if you're watching on YouTube.
Straight into the news for this week. In April, the Supreme Court concluded its crucial 3-day hearing on the legality of undisclosed commissions in finance agreements. We understand that judgment will come, they say, early summer, so they've reserved it till then. And then, Matt, the FCA, the people who sort of govern all these things.
The Financial Conduct Authority.
That's the one. Have said that they would look to making a judgment about any redress, if any, about 6 weeks later. But I worked it out, and that takes us to like the middle of August, and there's holidays and all the rest, and even government departments and quangos go on holiday. So I think we're looking at September, October. But this could have big ramifications for the motorhome and caravan industry, couldn't it?
It could do. If the Supreme Court rule that commissions should be repaid, then it will cause an entire industry to shut down. The finance industries will just pull out of our space. They'll pull out of all kinds of consumer lending spaces, because this is not just about motorhomes and campervans. This is about sofas, beds, all kinds of finance agreements.
And for those of you who aren't up on it, brief explanation. This is, people haven't been doing anything illegal when it comes to doing finance. This is about, if a commission is paid, have you as the consumer, the person ultimately paying the bill, being told there is a commission and how much it's for? Up to this point, that hasn't been the case. And that's what the Supreme Court are going to make a judgment about.
And it's that specific of how much in monetary terms is being paid in commission. So in pounds, notes, as it were. And so we'll see. I mean, if they do rule that commissions should be repaid, then that's a disaster for the lending industry, and they'll just pull out of all sorts of markets, which is then in turn a disaster for the consumer, because there'll be far less choice. But
do you think that could happen? Because it's unlike the mortgage insurance thing that happened 20 years ago or so. To get a mortgage, you were told that you had to take their insurances, and they charged you for it, and that's why that was judged as unfair practice. It was a condition of you getting the deal. That hasn't happened here. The only difference is we as consumers haven't known how much commission is being paid. You say it's going to be a disaster for the finance industry. Will there be redress? As people, they weren't wrongly sold. They just weren't told that information, and you accepted that when you signed the contract. It was never an issue. So are we looking at a system of redress like we saw with the banks for things that were sold incorrectly, or will they just change the law from now going in, and they'll just have to tell us how much commissions are being paid?
That is at the whim of the judge on the day when they make the ruling. You have to remember that the practice that's been carried out is congruent with the regulations. So nobody, as you say, has done anything wrong. The FCA rules have been complied with. It was deemed that the FCA rule didn't go far enough. So the consumer wasn't told, yes, you're paying a commission, but they weren't told how much. The industry, and me too, is hoping that there isn't a ruling that there should be repayments, because I think the bigger picture is that will be a disaster for our market and many markets. The finance lenders will just back out and say, well, this is too high risk. We can't make our money anymore. And I think going forward, there now has to be a declaration of how much commission is paid, and I think that's right. As we recorded before, didn't we? When we revisited this, I borrowed some money in our business, and I was told how much commission in monetary terms the agent, the broker, was making, and for a lend that we did commercially, and I'd never had that before, and I had to sign it to agree to it, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that sharpens the community community, sharpens a whole business pastime, and it makes the consumer, whether it's a business borrower or a private borrower, far more informed and more aware, and gives us more choice.
And if the deal-making stage also will include in the future doing a deal on the commissions that the customer is fully aware of and saying, well, why don't, instead of taking £2,000 in commission, why don't you take £50 and £100? Is that a bad thing?
No, I don't think it is. I think it puts people fully in the picture, which is what this is about. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It changes the landscape we operate on as consumers and lenders. But I think the risk is if there's there's a backdating, an ability to claw back payments, that's going to be a nightmare. The financial industries will see loads of lenders folding and disappearing.
But if some butts don't butter, no parsnips, do they? We don't know yet. The judge,
we don't know.
The Supreme Court, which is the highest court in the land in England and Wales, have not made their judgment yet.
No.
And so there's no point speculating on it. We will keep you informed.
And even Rachel Reeves tried interfering, didn't she? She got rebuked.
She did. The judiciary said, oi, no,
back off.
We make this decision.
Yeah.
And as politicians, if the law needs to be changed, then the politicians can change the law.
Yeah.
But the judgment hasn't been made yet, so stay tuned.
Stay tuned, yeah. One thing I want to add, though, I think finance is so important in our market because screen prices are now higher than ever, and often finance is the only way to our pastime. And I think it would have a massive detrimental effect on our industry if finance becomes less available to the consumer. But it's not good.
Yeah, but deals will still be done, okay? But just stay tuned to it. We'll deal with what we know and not what we think.
It's time for our Warner's Shows feature here on the Motorhome Matt Podcast, and it's great to welcome Michael back into the studio. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Great to be here.
It's great to see you again. So this week we're talking about the Newbury show, as we fondly call it, but that's actually not its name. Tell us more.
No, it's the Southern Motorhome and Campervan show.
Okay, it'll always be the Newbury show to me. And when is it?
It's the 16th to the 18th of May.
And this is at the Newbury Showground, hence we call it the Newbury Show. Yep. Now, there's no advice centre at this event, which is a big highlight for me. But there is loads going on, isn't there? There's entertainment all weekend. It's a 60s theme. Is 60s still as popular as it used to be?
Well, people do say to me, is the 60 crowd not dying out? But it's not what we're seeing. I think it's becoming more and more popular. And it's nearly sold out, the show. We've only got 231 pictures left.
Well, as we record this, okay, so you need to book quickly for this. Now, the music is free all weekend. There's a small charge, isn't there, for the headline act on the Saturday night?
There is, yeah.
There's music all day as well.
Daytime music.
And there's loads of entertainment during the day. What's going on during the day?
So there's archery, axe throwing and target paintballing for the family.
Great fun, okay.
And then new for this year, we've got Mark from Van Life Eats, who you know well, doing cooking demos.
He is lovely and great tasting food. And that's free as well.
That's free as well.
Watch him and taste his great culinary delights. And then in terms of the trade show, that's full as well. What's going on there?
Yeah, well, over the last few years, it's grown into one of our biggest trade areas. And it's really popular again this year. There's 48 dealers and 150 accessory stands. So I'd expect there to be way over 300 new and used vehicles.
So there's motorhomes and campervans, plus there's all the accessory stands as well. Our own team from that leisure shop will be there, selling a beautiful range of furniture and a load of Motorhome Matt approved products as well. So go and check them out. Now this show is 22 years old. It's one of your longest standing shows, and it's still going strong. So just remind us again, Michael, when is it?
It's the 16th to the 18th of May.
Okay, and how much is it to go for a weekend and for the day?
It's £85 a pitch. Or £7.50 for a day ticket.
Now, the £85 is for 4 nights camping and entertainment in the price.
Yep.
Small charge for headline act Saturday night. Let's not forget that. Day tickets are how much?
£7.50.
And there's a discount code. Use the code Motorhome Matt when you're buying a ticket and save 20% off your day ticket price. Where can people find out more about this particular show?
On our website, which is warners-shows.co.uk.
To find out about all of Warner's shows, you can head to mhmp.info/Warners. I'll see you in Newbury.
It's the Motorhome Matt Podcast. I'm Keith Gooden.
And I'm Motorhome Matt.
And it's brought to you with atleisureShop.com and sponsored by Ripe. Now, you have been on stage, haven't you, Matt?
I'm on stage a lot this year. It's really exciting. I was on stage at the Yorkshire Motorhome and Campervan show in Harrogate several times. I was hosting the advice centre there. They are brilliant, the advice centres. If you're going along to a Vaughan show, make sure you visit. Loads of free talks. And I was on stage with Peter Vaughan of Out and About Live fame, presenter and motorhome journalist, and we were talking about our favourite and less loved motorhome accessories that you might want to consider buying or ignoring.
Well, welcome to what has been called the Cart of Chaos. We have got a wagon here, I'm going to pull it out, with a load of accessories in. You've got your bag of accessories as well,
This
Peter.
sums us up, really, because he has an enormous motorhome, takes everything with him. I have a small camper van, and I take the minimal amount of stuff. So,
But do notice, it's a Waitrose carrier bag. It's not just any old bag.
take posh stuff, but not much of it.
Now, it's very easy, isn't it, at these shows to go and buy everything you didn't even know you needed. And so we're going to pick through some of the accessories that perhaps we both think are essential, some of which we disagree on, some that maybe, and some that we think are a complete and utter waste of money.
Yeah.
And I think on that, we both
We
agree.
generally agree on that.
We'll get to there in a minute. So I'm going to start, if that's okay. So a set of levelling ramps, I think, is a must-have. I think these are really important for levelling up. And these are about 20 quid. This is a tiny one for a VW, that type of product. But it means your shower empties, your sink's empty, you'll sleep better, and most importantly, you won't lose the gin and tonic across the table.
But if you've won the lottery, or if you're buying a really expensive van, don't get those. Get yourself a nice full air suspension from EMP, and then all you have to do is press a button and the van will level itself on its suspension. But these, what do these cost, Matt?
20 quid?
Yeah, and the full air suspension is about £7,000. So there is a slight difference in price.
Back to Waitrose again. And of course, my most essential accessory.
I'm going to stop you before you do that.
No, you're not. Not when I'm on this.
I am going to stop you because some people, when we go on site, they drive so far up this that then the van is less level
than when they started.
than if they just left the levelling wedges in the boot. So do take a spirit level because it's much easier then.
Why is that spirit level round?
Because it goes in a cup holder. It's called an easy pitch with a Z, and it fits in your cup holder.
That is very clever.
You can see it from the driving seat, and you can see that you're not level and you've gone too far up the ramp.
I use one of these. The same idea, but plastic, so it doesn't scratch the worktop. Really important. The problem with this is I'm driving up the ramps and I can't see it because on the table behind me. So I love that. That's a really good idea. I'm going back to this, most important of all, a bottle of red and a corkscrew. I think that's a must-have, if you agree. Really important. So also, hookup cable. So if you're going on a campsite, you need to take a hookup cable with you. They tend to be in two lengths.
Too short and too long.
10 metres and 25 metres. Now, why? Well, the 25-metre length was derived by the clubs as a kind of a standardisation of length. We've actually taken a 25-metre and have cut it into a 10-metre and a 15-metre length, which is really handy. But invariably, 10 metres just isn't enough, is it?
No. You
But
park the van, you get it all on your levelling wedges, you think you're all settled, and then you uncoil this, and it gets that far away from the bollard.
It's never long enough, but 25 is just too long. So having two you can join together. Also, remember, don't leave it coiled up when it's plugged in because they can get hot. And there's often stories on social media of electric cables that have overheated and caught on fire. What else we got? I reckon this is an essential. I say take a toolkit. That's basically mine right there.
I thought this was your toolkit.
That as well, yeah, gaffer tape. I think gaffer tape's just as important.
That's the sort of Jeremy Clarkson toolkit.
That and a hammer. So it's called the Force. It's like Star Wars because it's dark on one side, light on the other, and holds the universe together. You can keep that. Come on. So
I've heard it before.
You've heard it all before, yeah. Food grade hose. So this is what's called food grade hose. It is not a con. It's actually food grade for a reason. And that reason is it's smooth inside. Who is guilty of filling up their motorhome with a garden hose? Come on, admit it, yeah. So that is lined with Hessian, and mould can cling, and bacteria can cling to that Hessian inside the hose, even if you run it for 5 minutes to clean it. Food grade hose is completely smooth, so there's nothing for it to cling to, and inside there is dark, so the sun can't damage it when it's out in the garden, or you shouldn't really keep it outside at all. Another top tip with the hookup cable, which we've done with ours, is we put black electrical tape around it every 4 or 5 meters to make it look damaged, so nobody nicks it. There we are. Freshwater tap adapters. So you know the little things you screw on. Don't leave them behind, because people do all the time.
Yes.
In fact, that's how I got these. No, it's not. But they're really useful. Make sure you take the metric and the imperial one. If you're going to Europe, take one with a little bayonet, butterfly kind of screw on that pushes onto the tap. I'll use that in my next talk in a minute, where we're talking about going to Europe, because I found that a lot of French taps are a spout. They're not threaded. Yeah. What else we got? Let's pull these apart. Talking of tools, cable ties. Dead handy. If you've broken a bumper or something's fallen off, you just want to tie it back on, I'd say that's really useful. Don't light a match in the van. Take one of these instead. Sulfur clings, the smell clings to the soft furnishings, and it's horrible. How many people's little pizza lighter has failed on their hob? They fell for a pastime, so we'd take one of these with us. And I'm holding this. This is a mirror protector. These will save you a lot of money if you hit your mirrors. A Fiat wing mirror is over £300. These are 100 odd quid a pair. So definitely worth getting. But if you're buying a brand new 2025 motorhome, this is the one with the funny grille. We don't like the funny grille, do we?
No, but if you buy a Fiat or a Citroen, it hasn't got a funny grille.
No,
so
true.
Only the Fiat that has the weird
It looks like
slots.
a Space Invaders game. Have you seen it? It's lots of little rectangular holes cut in it. The wing mirrors are a new shape, and these don't fit. Currently, as we record this and present this to you, there are no covers for them. They are being made at the moment, but they're weeks away. And one of these, an essential, a torch. Pop that in the drawer, and handy for...
I prefer a head torch, and then when you're changing your gas cylinder at night, you haven't got to put that in your mouth and try and...
My suggestion was to gaffer tape that torch to your head. But look at this. I've just been given one of these. Look at that. And what I love about this, I'm not going to wear it. Make it go orange, and you can turn it on and off with your hand. That's cool, isn't it? I've got a head torch now, thanks to you.
Excellent.
Yeah. Gary's selling them outside if you want. They're 15 quid on the air ride stand. So we're going to do some more safety stuff. Smoke alarm, boring, I know, and a carbon monoxide alarm. I think they're essentials.
Yeah.
Must-haves. When did you last test yours? Test the battery. Do you remember? I tend to do ours at the beginning of every trip and just press the button and make sure it beeps. They could save your life. Carbon monoxide is so dangerous. It's called the silent killer because you'll go to sleep and not wake up if you've got a carbon monoxide leak. And equally, a fire extinguisher. Really important. Some kind of fire extinguisher, and get it checked every year. In fact, do you know how to service a fire extinguisher? I paid a guy 200 quid to come into our office and service all our fire extinguishers, and he did this with all of them. I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I've serviced your fire extinguishers." I said, "Is that it?" He said, "Well, I'll put a sticker on it as well." That's it. That's good for a year. That's all you need to do.
I'm going to get that job.
Easy money.
I'll do it for 150.
Okay, you're on. Pop down. The towing eye. Front-wheel drive motorhomes, loaded up on wet grass, rubbish. So you'll need this to be towed off. Make sure you know where it is. And check it screws in and fits. I've got a VW a van, and the towing eye doesn't fit. And, of course, we found out right when we needed it, and we had to push it out rather than tow it. And most motorhomes these days don't come with a spare wheel. In fact, do any new ones come with a spare wheel at all?
A few, but not many. Campervans tend to have a spare wheel, but most motorhomes don't. Simply for weight, it's to give you a bit more payload.
More payload, yeah.
But if you're buying a van and you've got enough payload and you've got somewhere to keep it, get a spare wheel. Because if you're doing the NC 500 or something and you damage a sidewall on a tyre, that won't work, and you might not find it that easy to get a new tyre on a Sunday in the middle of Scotland on the
Cairngorms
or something.
Yeah. So a puncture repair kit. Obviously, if you have a blowout, then you're knackered. But if you have a puncture, something like this will save the day. And most do come, don't they, with the gel kit?
Yeah. Fix and go, they call it.
Fix and go, that's it. So I reckon these are an essential, going back to being stuck on wet grass. These are called grip tracks, and they clip onto the levelling ramp. So you've got a chance of getting some speed up onto the ramp. They don't go too fast. And also getting out of gel if you get stuck. You could, though, speak nicely to your local bakery and get some bread trays, cut the sides off, cut them in half, and you've got, essentially, 2 of them. There we are. Life hack. Do ask them, though, first. A gas spanner. Don't get caught with an empty bottle of gas and no spanner. Make sure you've got one in your van. That, I think, is an essential. I also think this is an essential. Now, this is very much an optional purchase after you've bought your van. These should be fitted at manufacture on every motorhome, caravan, campervan and static caravan. It's called a gas stop valve, and it protects you from a gas leak. You screw it into the end of your pigtail. It goes into your gas bottle. You just pump it 6 times, and it's primed. Has a needle on the top, tells you how much gas you've got left, which is really handy. And if there's any kind of gas leak, it shuts off immediately. My 14-year-old son demonstrated this by unscrewing it from an open bottle of gas, and it just shut off straight away as it detected the gas leak. And full disclosure, my shop's here, that leisure shop, and we do sell them. But I would definitely go and talk to them, have a look at them, or talk to me afterwards and consider
I've
one of these.
never seen that fitted on a van from the factory.
They're not fitted from you. They sell tens of 50,000 a year in the US, if not more. And the RV market in the USA have tuned into it. But here in the UK and Europe, we just haven't. They're made in Belgium. I think they're a must-have. What else? We're going to Europe. If you are going to Europe, come back at when is it? 1 o'clock, and we'll unpack it in some detail. Take one of these with you. We did about 10 campsites. I reckon 7 of them in rural locations needed one of these.
It tends to be the municipal sites still.
It's
got
a little
old
2-pin adapter to a 16-amp socket. So it's the old-fashioned Euro plug.
And it's handy to have one with the UK 3-pin.
Yeah, then you can plug in at home, can't you?
Plug in at home, make sure everything's charged up before you head off.
And equally, if you're going to the continent and you've got a bike rack, anything, in fact, sticking out beyond the back bumper, so a tow bar is fine, but anything else further than that, you need one of these on the back of it. So whether it's bike rack or a storage box of some sort, you're meant to display one of these on the continent. And did you know the chevrons are supposed to point to the centre of the road you're travelling on? Did you know that? I've never met anyone who's turned one 90 degrees. I certainly never have. And if you're going to Italy, it has to be metal. I don't know why. Do you know why?
Because the Italians like a bit of extra regulation, probably.
They like us to spend more. What have you got? What essentials have you got with you?
Well, I've got the most essential thing of all. Coffee.
Very important.
I don't work without coffee. Now, this is my favourite campervan gadget. It's called a hand presso.
A what?
Hand presso.
Hand presso.
And it's a rechargeable battery, and it makes an espresso. A little bit of water in the top, recharge it, press the button. You can either put ground coffee in there or, more conveniently, the Nespresso pods. And in a couple of minutes, you've even got a cup built in. You've got a nice espresso.
It's hot as well, is it?
Yeah, properly hot. Yeah.
Wow.
And they're about 100 quid.
Can I make an observation?
Yeah.
The box is covered in X's. It says not working. What have you done?
Because I think this one was subject to the usual delivery driver rugby match, the way they carefully deliver things and leave it lying on your doormat.
We're not allowed to talk about the rugby, we've been told.
But I have got a working one as well, but that one comes out.
So I want to stick with coffee. So I use an Nespresso Essenza machine, which is there are loads of coffee machines, obviously, but the little Nespresso is tiny, the Essenza machine. And we have just made these. So these are like 400 or 500 quid to buy from a motorhome manufacturer. It comes with a Velcro strap, and you can fit your coffee machine in it, screw it to the side of the kitchen wall or the wardrobe, and pop your coffee machine in and travel with it strapped in place. And we just had an inverter fitted, and we get coffee off the 12-volt battery, off the lithium battery. Amazing. If you are a coffee drinker, those have just arrived in the UK. And they're here. We brought them here with us. Other stuff that people may not have heard of. Can I demo my light?
Go on then.
So is anyone going to Spain next year? Yes. So from January 26, the red triangle is no longer accepted legally. You have to have what's called a V16 beacon instead. You can use the triangle at the moment in Spain. You can use the triangle all across Europe and the UK. No change at the moment in the future. But in Spain, they want you to have one of these. I'm going to make it flash in a minute, and I'll warn you before I do, because it's quite bright. So if you're affected by a flashing light, I'll tell you first. Does anyone know how far behind your vehicle a red triangle should be placed? Let's have some guesses. 30 feet. Let's go in meters. 30 meters, no. 100 meters, no. 50 meters, 5 meters. Basically, we don't know, do we? This is in the highway code. It's 45 meters. Now, there were lots of reports of people being killed or injured placing the red triangle, and I thought this was a joke. I laughed, but apparently it's true. And so the Spanish authorities have changed the rules and said no longer they're going to allow the red triangle to be used. From January 26, you have to have one of these. Now, for Spaniards, their version of this has a SIM card in that when you turn it on, it tells the authorities where they are, which is a really good idea. But as Brits, as far as I can figure out anyway at the moment, you can have one of these that doesn't have the SIM card. The SIM card one's like 80 odd quid. These are less than £20. And they flash orange. I'm going to show you what it looks like. So shut your eyes if you're affected. It clicks onto a metal surface. Bear with me, because I know your motorhome isn't. And it flashes immediately. So you haven't got to get out the car. You just put it on the roof.
There is no truth to the rumour that he puts that on top of his campervan and gets home a lot quicker down to Bristol.
That's right. I wish I could. That would be a blue one. But you can also, the second time you turn it on, if you put it under your bonnet, it becomes a torch. Which is really handy. But that orange flashing light, it's stopped flashing now if you still got your eyes shut. That orange flashing light is a particular colour, a speed, and can be seen from a kilometre away, and that's in daylight, and that's what makes it V16. As a UK resident visiting Spain, one of these and the app Alert Cops will tell the authorities on your iPhone or smartphone where you are, and I'll talk about that in the next presentation. But you can also turn it on manually. Yes, your motorhome's plastic, so I'm going to make it flash again. This time you can just turn it on by doing that, just twisting it, and they come on. And again, it's stopped flashing. Again, you turn it on, it becomes a white light. You can do it manually. So the idea with these is they're meant to go as high as possible. If you can get on the roof of the motorhome, great, or just place it behind the motorhome. Personally, I'd have 2 or 3. I broke down in an Alfa Romeo, obviously. It's an Alfa Romeo. And waited 15 hours for the RAC. And I was in a pitch black, very fast road on the Mendips with no lights. And I wish I'd had one of those. I'd have felt a lot safer. The RAC said if I felt unsafe, I should call 999 and tell the police. I went, are you serious? And so I did, and they came and moved me. But yeah, that was very scary, and I think a light like that would have saved the day. I've got a high-vis vest here. If you're going to Europe, one of these is essential for everyone that can walk. They're a legal requirement. If it's a baby in arms, they don't need to have a high-vis.
Don't put them in your garage. They have to be accessible.
Interestingly, this is a Warner's Shows staff vest, which will be for sale later after the event. I don't know where I got
Where
that
did you
from.
nick that from?
I wonder. Sorry about that, Michael. It might be yours. Maybe you've got mine. Right. Have you got any more essentials there, or should we go to the non-essentials?
We've got some folding stuff, which is very useful.
Yeah.
All sorts of collapsible gear, which, when you're short on storage space,
these are great.
Is really, really useful.
Yeah, they are probably more useful than essential.
Yeah.
But definitely
Although
useful.
the folding kettle with the metal bottom, that might qualify as essential.
Now, I think comfy furniture is essential.
And this is where we disagree every time. Well, not on the comfort. But
no. But how many of us go and spend 60 grand on a motorhome or more, and then go and spend 12 quid on 2 chairs in Asda? What's that all about? Why would you do that? I see people doing it all the time. You've brought some chairs with you.
I have brought some chairs.
Where are they?
They fit in these little bags. Now, if you're buying a small camper van, it's all very well buying great big chairs, but they're not going to fit anywhere. So we have a couple of these in our VW, and I think these are absolutely brilliant. He hates them, but I think
I just
they're
want to
brilliant.
get out, unfold a chair, and sit down. What is a toolkit? What? That's a chair.
It will be in a minute.
Take
Don't
my
your
eye
eyes
out. What? That looks really uncomfortable, I'm not going to lie.
Well, don't sit on that.
Oh, okay. Right. Has anyone else got chairs like this? Really, you like them? You love them. That's a bag. Are you going to ask me to sit in this and then get out of it without making a noise?
Well, if I can do it, and I'm older than you.
Well, that is very true.
Robins.
Rubbish. Robins. Yeah.
Robens.
You're not going to buy some, are you? You see, already next door's barbecue's gone off and all the beer's been drunk. I'm still setting up my blooming chair. How'd you get that in there? That's rubbish, mate. Right.
Bad workmen and all that, you know.
Sorry?
Bad workmen, blame the tools. Comfy though, aren't they?
Okay. You can't really eat though, could you?
Can
with
in
this?
that one. And this one's more reclined.
The table's up there.
Well, your table might be. Mine is. Same brand, but different chairs. One's called an Observer, and the other one is a Pilgrim. Depends which you want.
I'm not convinced by these chairs, I have to say. You can keep your chairs. I think comfy chairs, absolutely yes. Very important, but not those. Another optional, but I think essential, is a good pair of Crocs. So easy to walk across the campsite to the toilets. My other half said to me yesterday morning, she said, Matt, I never thought I'd hear myself say this, but I need to buy a new pair of Crocs. They are the least trendy shoes you'll ever buy, but they are very handy for trudging across the long, wet grass. Let's talk about, it's not wine, it's toilet chemical. Does anybody use Solbio? No. So this is vegan. It's completely environmentally friendly. It's a complete game changer to how you treat your toilet waste. It's harmless to the environment. You can drink it, though I recommend you don't. I've done it. It's on YouTube. It tastes disgusting. It tastes of essential oil, but it basically speeds up the processing, the breakdown process of your human waste and turns it into compost. So you could pour it on the rose bed, but don't do that in public because you'll be on Facebook in seconds. It's absolutely incredible stuff. Our toilet cassette looks brand new inside just from using Solbio. We've got it here, so you can go and smell it down on the stand in the entrance of Hall 2 and talk to the girls about it. They're all very passionate Solbio users.
You do have some weird hobbies, don't you?
We
Smelling
do.
Toilet chemical.
It's really important. And then Solbio launched this kitchen and bathroom cleaner, which is vegetable based. We actually now use this at home. I hate bleach. I think there's too much chemical going into the riverways, and we take it quite seriously in our household. And this stuff, again, is completely environmentally friendly. You don't want to be using any form of bleach in your motorhome or campervan because it stains the surfaces. And this stuff is completely harmless and really, really good. Again, we've got some of that here. And if you don't want to shower, have you seen this? I love this stuff. This is called Pits and Bits. This is their filthy festival kit. This was aimed at the van life market and the festival market. Have you seen this? So this inside, you get, it's not expensive, it's pounds. You get a body shampoo and a is it a body? Yeah, towel off shampoo and a body wash. I'll show you the body wash. So literally screw it on your hands like so and just rub it. And it starts to lather. I don't know if you can see, I've not put very much on, but it's lathering up, and then it just disappears. It just dries off, so you can have a freshen up wash. And they come with, could you pass me that glass of water? In the packet, I think there's 10 of these. They're like little tablets. They're not Alka-Seltzer. You definitely don't want to put one of these in your mouth. Because if I put it in there, watch what happens. This is a flannel. And they are amazing. Look at that. And then take it out, and it just unfills. And now it's absolutely saturated. And with that shampoo that I rubbed all over myself, I just wash it off. It's brilliant, completely recyclable and reusable. And it's just water. Really clever, called Pits and Bits. I love them. They're family business. They're really, really good. The other great brand we discovered are these guys, Fresh Wipes. This is grapefruit flavour. If you want to smell like a grapefruit, you can rub yourself with this. Again, these are perfectly recyclable, and they smell of grapefruit. They do loads of different scents. Again, really popular with the van life community, and we've brought it sell into the more mainstream community of motorhomes and campervans. These are a lifesaver if you're on a site with no water. We arrived here, and somehow, I don't know how, having filled our water tank, we got here, pitched up on the ramps, hooked up, turned the pump on, no water. Really annoying. So a water carrier, which I haven't got here, is another big essential, I'd say. And then sticking with water, our team at that leisure shop made these. They are ace. They're little 4 pipes like this in a bag with a brush so you can clean the waste pipe. You don't want to empty your wastewater on the floor. You want it to get to a drain. You can join 4 of them together and turn them around and shape them. And make your wastewater come out of the van. That's the end that goes on the waste pipe.
And if you come back for the next talk, you'll make one into a little dog or something.
Give me a few hours, I'll learn how to do it. And then they fold up and go back in this bag, so you keep any wastewater remnant contained. You don't want that floating around inside your garage. A brilliant idea. What's your view on lithium batteries?
Expensive. It depends how you're going to use your van. If you're the sort of person that always goes to full facility sites and uses your hookup lead, that I don't know what you did with it, but hookup lead, then why would you invest hundreds of pounds in a lithium battery? But if you're off-grid...
I've got one here. Feel the weight of it.
Oh! No.
This is actually empty. It's a demonstrator. Now, Techonex are here. Richard's really helpful. He's a nerd when it comes to these. So if you're interested, go and have a chat with him. They've got a stand here. We've got one of these in our van. And the thing that amazes me about lithium, they are 500 plus quid now for 100 amp hour.
And surprisingly few vans still come with these as standards.
Yeah, that's right.
Usually an expensive option or something that you have to do aftermarket.
Yeah, well, we have one, and we were able to direct swap ours out from a lead acid to this. That's the piece of information you need to go and research, is can I fit a lithium battery in my van? Because sometimes you can't. The voltage is not right. Excuse me. But we put one of these in. What amazed me is how long it lasts, because the 100 amp hours, I get all of it.
It can go right down to nothing.
So it's literally zero, yeah, and it stays at 12 volts until it runs out, and then it just turns off. Whereas the lead acid battery just slowly drains down and gets to about 11.8 volts, and it's dead. And then the other side of it is driving from Wadebridge in Cornwall back to Exeter. It was probably an hour and a half, 2 hours. It was completely recharged. You can monitor it on the phone, on an app, and I drove no time at all. It had gone down to 25%. It was back up to 98% in no time. So they are incredible. And if you're doing a lot of off-grid camping where you're not hooking up or not starting the van every few days, then one of these might be worth considering. But talk to an expert. Bluefix are here this afternoon at 3:00, and they are experts in lithium.
Are we going to talk about solar at this point?
Yeah, go on. What do you think?
Well, it depends how you're going to use your van, doesn't it? We've got a solar panel on our VW. I like it because it keeps everything topped up when we're not using it. And when we went to France, we didn't pay for the hookup on the site because we didn't need to.
Right.
Just kept everything.
I think that's when
going.
solar's useful, isn't it? Is when if you don't want to pay for hookup,
yeah,
or you're going to be somewhere for a while. We haven't got solar on our van. Because I take the view, well, I will pay for electricity, or we are going to move every 4 or 5 days, so the engine will recharge the batteries. So, solar, I was quoted 700 quid for a decent solar setup. I thought that's a lot of money.
It's like the lithium and your inverters. It all costs money, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, yeah. I've got another gadget here from our shop. Again, our team made this. This is called the Pathway 4G. Now, I think getting internet when we're away is essential. Last night we were streaming TV on the laptop. Talking of TVs, have you got a TV?
No, we watch it on the laptop.
Yeah, we took ours out. We got rid of it. We just stream television, Netflix. We've got an Amazon Fire Stick. We just stream it via the internet. But how do you get internet in your van? Well, one way is drill a hole in the roof mountain aerial. I don't know about you. If I've just spent 70 grand on a motorhome, I'm not going to take it home and get my Black & Decker out and start drilling 25mm holes in the roof. So we made one of these, and all you do is you lick and stick it to a window, the roof light, the wall of the van, and you put any flavour of SIM card in it. It just works. We're using one here on our stand for our tills. And last night we were using it. This is a display one, it's empty, but we were using the one on the stand to stream. I think we were watching Married at First Sight. Oh, my goodness.
Quality TV.
That is not an essential watch, I can tell you. Jude loves it. But it comes with 2 aerials. You just screw the aerials on, and there's no installation. It runs on 12 volt, 240 volt, any SIM card. Take SIM out of your phone. EE302.
And you said that worked all over Skye, apart from one tiny remote area that I need to take my teenage daughter to, just to really wind her up.
Thanks, Dad. But yeah, we drove all around the Outer Hebrides. We weren't stuck in the roof light on the 12 volt cigarette socket, and it just worked the entire time, apart from that one corner of Skye. I think having something like this is essential. Here at the show, they're 199 quid, but they're normally 226 quid. And they come in a little case as well. But I think that's important to get online. What about silver screens?
I hate the external ones because you've got something wet and soggy then in the morning to wrap up. We've got some internal ones which are quite useful in the winter in a small van. They're insulated screens that go on your cab windows. Now, you get the external type, literally go around the outside, cover all 3 of your cab windows in one piece normally. Or you get the internal type, which go on with the same sort of suckers as its Wi-Fi unit. And they're individual for the windscreen and the 2 side windows. We much prefer the internal ones because they're not all soggy and horrible in the morning.
Yeah.
And give you a bit of insulation in the cab.
When we were going to the Outer Hebrides, it was very, very windy. Storm Zoe, I think it was called. And
putting the external ones on would have been a lot of fun.
Well, there was that side where you're basically battling with a sail. But also, I was fearful that we might have to move because 2 days earlier, a motorhome had been blown down a cliff on the west coast of Scotland with the family in it. I don't know if you saw it, made BBC News. They all survived. The motorhome didn't. And it was owned by a friend of mine. It was a hire company. And so we were very, very, actually a little bit scared of where we were parked. And we were parked in Ullapool to get the ferry in the morning. So we parked nose into the wind. And I said, right, we're not going to fit the silver screen. We were on the levelling ramps. The front seats were pointing forward. The keys were on the driver's seat. I said to Jude, if we feel in the night we're scared, I'm just going to open the internal plissé blinds and we're gone. And so that's when we didn't fit silver screens. But I must admit, we haven't fitted them here, and it did get pretty cold the other night, and we would have benefited from them. Have you got any more in your bags?
Probably.
I've got some other stuff as well. Oh, you're joking.
No.
Really?
If you come from caravanning, when you go off site, you've got a great big white thing reserving your pitch. Well, this is a little white thing that reserves your pitch. You stop some other bugger nicking your pitch. When you've arrived deliberately early and you've got that lovely pitch by the lake with nice view, and then you go out for the day and you find somebody's nicked your pitch.
Well, go to nicer campsites.
I think that's pretty essential.
Gerald's here selling those.
He is. He's just out in the hall over there.
Not for me. What else have you got in your bag?
I've got... Well, I'm going to upset you again because you don't like my bamboo crockery, but I like it because kids drop stuff and it doesn't break. Did you do this in the shop?
Did you see that Mr. Bean sketch in Harrods where he got 2 balls and he dropped them both and the one that didn't break he bought and he left the other one in the floor in bits? That was you, wasn't it?
It was me, yeah.
You're not coming in our shop. But what's that? Bamboo?
Bamboo, yeah.
See, I'm not a fan.
I know you're talking about the...
Bamboo deforestation is a nightmare. You need to Google this. If you're thinking, I'll buy bamboo, it's better for the environment. It really isn't.
It's got to be better than plastic.
It absolutely is better than plastic, but there's a dark side to bamboo. But go and Google it. I'm not going to spoil the mood. I've got one other thing. I want to talk about a tracker as well. I reckon sometimes that's an essential, isn't it? Having a tracker, you have to have it.
If your van's over 70, 75 grand.
45 now. Some insurers are 45k. So you're going to be your insurance company going to insist you have a tracking device. But a little piece of advice, we unpacked this on the podcast. We did a piece with a tracking company called GPS Bob on Thatcham 5, Thatcham 7. It's like, help me understand it. And as Guy was leaving, he said, of course, the 2G trackers aren't going to be working soon. I went, hang on a minute. So he came back and did another episode with me. The 2G network is now being turned off, and most of our trackers are 2G. So I've got a motorhome hire company with 36 motorhomes on it, all with a 2G tracker. And if you go to Switzerland, there's no 2G, no tracker, no insurance, maybe. So check, if you've got a tracker, check with your provider, is it 2G or 4G? The government have agreed that by 2030, the 2G network can be turned off, which is going to impact car park machines, where you pay, red pendant devices for folks at home wearing one of those. There's a whole ton of stuff that's going to be affected.
We do a survey in the magazine every year on motorhome and campervan insurance. Costs are going up. Generally, we found last year that the insurance companies have put up the limits as to where they want a tracker.
Right, okay.
It was around the £50,000 mark. There's a number of companies have put that up because values of motorhomes have gone up, so they don't want everybody to have a tracker.
Yeah.
But the key comment was that soon alarms won't get you any discount off your insurance. They're not going to insist on alarms. It's trackers that they want.
But who last took notice of a car alarm going off, other than getting annoyed?
Exactly.
That blessed noise. Turn it off. A tracker's the way forward. Yeah. Physical and visible security as well. Yeah. I love my e-bike. This gets us around when we get there as motorhomers. We haven't got decamp, and people say, "Oh, caravan's much better."
You should have bought a smaller van.
I have got a small van. We've got a 6-metre van, and these are ace. I mean, we have towed a car, and that's great as well. Do another thing as well, which most people don't think of, is we've hired a car and had it delivered to the campsite.
There's a few campsites in France that actually have arrangements with.
Well, I think we did it in France. We did it in Spain as well. But there's no reason why you couldn't do it in the UK.
No.
And pre-arrange it, get the car delivered, potter about for a few days, and then give the car back. But these,
or just buy a sensible size motorhome and not.
That you can drive off in. And then get all your bits nicked on your campsite. So we love our bikes. We can recharge these in the van from the lithium battery. They fold up. This one folds in half and folds down. It's from a company called Estali. And My Rider are here as well. So they do very similar bikes to this. They've been a game changer. I used to cycle a lot when I was a teen. In fact, I really shouldn't have told you this yesterday, but I will repeat it. I came that close to shaving my legs for competitive cycling. And I remember...
It still does.
I had my knee up on the bath like this with the razor, and I went, I can't do it. and this time last year, I had heart surgery. And so this has been a game changer. It's got me back on a bike, and we actually love getting back out on a bike, and the e-bike element is great. So if you've not ridden a bike for 30 years like me, try an e-bike. They're amazing, and they get you around. Have you got anything else in your bag, or are we done?
I think we're done.
I've got one other thing.
How much is that?
This one's about 1,500 quid. Yeah. So and of course it's orange. Jude's is pink. And we get them both in the back of the van. I've got one last thing. This is an essential, and it's my gift to you. To say thank you for joining me during this talk during the course of the weekend. And I'm expecting you to stick that on the back of your van. Is that all right?
No.
That's for you. All right. We have got time for some questions if anyone's got one.
We didn't do the things that you don't buy.
Oh,
Please don't buy.
Have you seen one of these? They're plastic washing machine. Have you seen them? They're blue. And I see them for sale online on Amazon and in my social feed. And they
most campsites have them anyway.
Exactly. They're hilarious. They are rubber. Use all your water. Yeah. They're made of horrible plastic and they're useless. Even motorway service stations now have washing machines and tumble dryers. So I think, they're a complete and utter waste of money.
Thanks very much. Round of applause, everybody, for Matt and
Thank
Peter.
You.
It's the Motorhome Matt Podcast with me, Keith Gooden.
And me, Motorhome Matt.
And it's brought to you with thatleisureshop.com and sponsored by Ripe.
Get 15% off your insurance premium by using the code Motorhome Matt over the phone, or simply click the link in the description.
We're into the Q&A, the questions and answers, where you ask the questions and Motorhome Matt, for he's the expert, will give you the answer. And if he doesn't know, he'll ask somebody who does. First of all, Robin Harris has been in touch.
Motorhome Matt and Keith, I'm thinking about how to keep mobile when I take my motorhome on holiday. Thinking about an e-scooter or something similar. I'm just looking for some advice as to how I go about thinking of the options and which you would recommend. Anyway, I'll leave that thought with you. Thank you very much.
Cheers, Robin. Much appreciated, and thanks for getting my name right. I really do appreciate it.
He's the only one.
Kevin, Chris, Sebastian, Eric.
Sebastian, where have you gone with that?
Cheers, Robin, for the question. Anyway, the thing that occurs to me here is, of course, when you're on campsites and stuff, you're on private land, so you could use things like a Segway and a scooter, can't you?
Provided you got the landowner's permission, yeah. So e-scooters are a little bit, they're risky, aren't they, to use on public land. They're not allowed. So I would be careful with these scooters. They've now been banned on trains as well because of the risk of them catching fire.
Yeah, it's the batteries. The reason they've been banned.
Yeah. We actually take our e-bikes with us and we love them. So an e-bike for me has got me back on two wheels 30 years after never riding a bike. And we love riding them. They're brilliant. Ours fold up. They're Estali bikes and they go in the back of the van. They are superb. Great for nipping to the pub or down to the shop and going out exploring as well. You could tow a car. That's a big topic we've visited in the past. Whether you tow the car on the road, so its wheels are on the road, or you put it on a trailer, that's entirely up to you. It depends where you're going as well. So the challenge with a trailer is you're then dealing with three vehicles when you arrive at the campsite. So the motorhome, the car, and the trailer. So you are a big deal to deal with, as it were. One thing we've done in the past is we've hired a car and had it delivered to the campsite. This is quite common on the continent, but there's no reason why you couldn't do that here in the UK and get in touch with one of the many car hire companies and see if they would deliver it to you at the campsite. Use it for a few days and then they'll come and collect it. But we have often chosen campsites on public transport near the bus routes. We used to stay with the kids at a campsite in Dorchester where there was a level crossing literally outside the campsite. The kids loved watching the trains coming through it. We get on the train, go down to Weymouth, have a day on the beach and come back, leave the motorhome on the campsite. So it's trying to be creative. In a motorhome, you can be mobile once you've arrived and parked up. You just have to be a little bit creative.
There you are, Robin. Don't use your Segway or your electric scooter.
Segway's quite hard to pack into a motorhome as well.
Do they still sell them?
They probably do. Have you seen these cool skateboards with one wheel?
Yes.
They look ace. I saw someone on Facebook the other day with two dogs on them as well.
I'm sure it's not legal.
I don't fancy a go on one of these, I'll be honest.
Now, I think this is pronounced Sharon in Belfast. I think it's a Gaelic spelling of that, but if it's not Sharon in Belfast, I do apologise. It could be Soren.
Or Dave.
Hello, Matt. I've started watching your podcast on YouTube. We're a family that are considering investing in a motorhome in the future and have decided to visit the Motorhome show in Birmingham. My question is, what's the difference between the February show and the October one? And which would you recommend us to go to? Thanks in advance.
Good of both. Simple. They are quite different. So these shows have quite a long history where the February show had more marine at it historically and still does. The February show tends to be more accessories. It's a smaller show. It's only 5 halls, which is a big show by the NEC standards. The October show is halls 8 to 20, so much bigger. All the European manufacturers tend to attend the October show. Interestingly, we're the only country in Europe that has 2 national motorhome shows. All the others only have 1. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
So that's why the European manufacturers only tend to go to October. There are exceptions. Brands like Adria are at both. And then you've got UK brands as well that are at the show every other year. So they are different exhibitors. October is a much bigger show, as I say, and you need 2 days to go and visit it. But I would also consider going to some of the other outdoor shows that happen all over the country. The reason being is that the NEC shows are only new motorhomes. You can't see second-hand at them. So if you're looking at a second-hand motorhome, an outdoor show has a mix of new and used, and they are all growing. They're all booming with more and more people going along to them, more and more exhibitors going along as well. So those are the main differences between the NEC shows. I'd go to as many as you can and go and climb in as many motorhomes as you possibly can, and check out as many episodes of this podcast where we've covered topics around layout, pricing, and all the stuff you didn't even know you needed to know.
Oh, we'll see you at the October one. By the way, the Warner shows go on all year long, and if you can get along to one of them, it'd be good. If you go to mhmp.info/shows, that's mhmp.info/shows. It's Motorhome Matt Podcast. You see? mhmp.info/shows. Use the code MATT, M-A-T-T, and you usually find a discount there, don't you?
Yeah, there's often a discount code for many of the shows, and we're working with the organisers to offer you a discount if you go via that link, mhmp.info/shows.
Peter Hadley's in Hereford. Hi, Matt. We've just purchased a brand new campervan from Swift. It's NCC approved and has all other legally required approved documents. I wish to upgrade to a lithium battery, self-levelling system, or change tyres, cameras, such stuff. How will I know that the upgrades are legally compliant?
This leisure industry has little in way of an overarching safety certification for alterations. As an example, if I go to Bluefix, approved by your website, to get lithium upgrades, do I get a legal electrical certification certificate, regardless how good the guys are?
That's Motorhome Matt approved, by the way, he's talking about there. Do I have to inform my insurance company legally of the upgrade? And what proof do I have to show the insurance company that it's safe? Peter says he can't get a clear answer. He says, your help, Matt, trying to answer this would be greatly appreciated. So as usual, Matt, it's not being able to see the wood for the trees. Can you slice a clear path through this forest for him?
Blimey, no pressure. Well, Peter, I'm not sure.
No stone unturned.
Okay,
His bark's worse than his bite.
Oh, dearie me. Would you stop? I'm not sure what laws it is you're trying to comply with, or even trying to discover. I think it's the case that Bluefix, for example, work to industry guidelines. They are experts in what they do, and they definitely work to best practices. The bigger issue, I would say, you're faced is actually one of warranty compliance. So if you're having loads of accessories fitted to the van and a third party has drilled a hole in it, and then you get water ingress, the manufacturer that made that motorhome may not want to honour the warranty, because they'll say, well, we didn't cause this leak, this third party contractor did. And so then your redress would be with that third-party contractor. I'd say safety is paramount, and this would be governed by the NCC habitation check process. So the NCC, National Caravan Council, have over 500 approved workshops all over the country. Some are mobile, some are fixed in a bricks and mortar workshop. That's probably the best place to start in terms of getting works assessed and getting a rubber stamp of approval. But you are quite right, there is no overarching certification for post-sale works. The certificate of conformity is the certification the vehicle's given when it's built, and then of course it complies with the DVLA in this country and has a V5. But after that, it really is a case of getting a habitation check and the NCC standards being adhered to. Another consideration, you mentioned insurance. I spoke at length with Ripe recently, and there are only a few criteria that they're concerned about if you change it. So suspension, engine and brakes, they are the things. If you change those, they want to know. And they have some thresholds that they want you to keep within.
And seat belts, we've talked about them in the past.
We have talked about seatbelts in the past. If you start changing the number of seatbelts in the van, that's a massive topic. That came out very recently. So go and check that episode too. But in terms of your insurer, that was Ripe. Now, it's about talking to your insurance company and find out what they want to know. So if you are adapting the vehicle, if you're increasing its value by fitting 10 grand's worth of lithium and solar and so on, it's definitely worth telling your insurance company, because you want to make sure that's insured. mud. And if you're fitting other accessories, it's worth asking them, are you interested to know? So say you change the wheels and the tyres, there are some insurance companies that want to know. They say you've put these big kind of muddy fox kind of tyres, all knobbly and off-road type tyres on it, and you've raised the suspension. They probably want to know that you've done that. So there isn't an overarching standard. You are right. The closest I can think of really is the NCC habitation check scheme, and I would definitely consider getting it inspected by one of those compliant companies.
Knobbly, is that a technical term?
Knobbly.
Yeah. But just concluding this, Peter was most concerned, I think, and like a lot of motorhomers and caravanners, he wants to stay on the right side of the law, about the legal requirements. He's worried about doing something which, if he gets a pull by a police officer or a weighbridge or whatever, they're going to say that's illegal. I think that's really the point he's making, isn't it?
Yeah, and there isn't an overarching law. I mean, common sense prevails. It has to prevail. There isn't an overarching certification for a vehicle. The habitation check is the closest that I can come to. And as somebody that buys motorhomes and sells them through our company, Motorhome Holiday Company, if I see someone has done loads of modifications to it, I'm checking that standards, and there are lots that are complied with. So the gas installation, they fitted a hob. I want to make sure the gas pipework is safe, the gas cupboard is compliant. And again, all of that is covered by the NCC habitation check, which is why I revert back to that.
Thanks, Peter. Much appreciated. Hereford, beautiful city. If people want to get in touch, then Matt, what should they do?
Dead easy, and we'd love it if you did. If you head to mhmp.info/ask Matt, you can record your question. Just press the orange button and record it. You can listen to it back before you press send, or fill in the form and we'll read it for you. But please tell us where in the world you are.
And if you're looking for trusted brands and services, we mentioned it earlier, then make sure you visit the Motorhome Matt approved directory. It's at mhmp.info/approved.
And if you're watching on YouTube, please make sure you subscribe and hit the little bell, and then the gods of YouTube will tell you when a new episode is released.